morning, good afternoon, or good evening, teacher, depending on the time you are watching this video. My name is Vianey, and by this means, I'm going to present you my project with this little how do we affect migrants with one click. Before starting with my presentation, I consider it important to tell you that when I did my project, I didn't know how many news to be included in this project. So I made 9 news, of which I will only explain to you 4, and the rest will only mention. As we know, social network has been an essential tool, has allowed to society to be to keep in touch with each other. But unfortunately, they have also been misused by, especially by the mass of people such as migrants. So I will show you some fake news and one's reels. As we first, we have brutally beaten by members of the caravan in their attempt to force their way into Mexico. This news came during Donald Trump's administration in 2018 when the caravan of migrants took place. In this event, this news was generated in social networks that a policeman had been assaulted by migrants. So this news was generated. This news was shown with this photograph, as you can see here. And unfortunately, this news was denied by photographer Gustavo Aguado, who said that he had taken this photo in another event. It was during confrontation between police and students at the school in the town of Teritepillo, Mexico. The next news is people from the Middle East were among the migrant caravan. This news was also given by the caravan, and I can tell you that it's very interesting, and I recommend you read more about this. And the next news is your service pays for the caravan. This is the last news of the caravans. It was generated by Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz, who released a video where, according to him, he said you can see migrants receiving money by your soros for the caravan. This news generates controversy because George Soros is a person who is considered an enemy in the United States and Europe. So, fortunately, this news was denied by Matt Gaetz himself, and he said that he had made a mistake. And you can see migrants in this video, but they receiving clothes from merchants, not money, as he had said at the beginning. And then this news was also denied by Luis Asardo, who is a Guatemalan journalist, and he said the following in the post of Facebook. This news should be investigated before sharing to avoid misinformation and fake news. The next news is terrorism. This news was generated because this John Saren and Asmodamani decided to take a photo with the Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, when she visited the refugee center where he lived. Unfortunately, this photograph was used to make many news about migrants topics. But then Modamani denounced Facebook, and Facebook deleted the post. But also Facebook sent him the following statement. We have quickly disabled access to the content that has been reported, so we don't believe that legal action is necessary or that is the most effective way to resolve the situation. It's true that post was deleted, but it's also true that this news affect him, affects his image. In fact, when I read this news, I feel sad because he said the following: I would like to have a normal life. I would like to be a normal person because now I'm considered a terrorist. Teacher, if you want to read about Modamani's complaint, you can find this information in my project. The next news is sexual assault by migrants. I recommend you, teacher, read about this news in my project because there are many information at that point you can know what is true, what believe. You can find this news in my project. The next news is the lies and half-truths about immigration that were told in the Second Republican presidential debate. On September 27 of this year, there was a debate between seven presidential candidates in the United States, in which several topics were discussed, among them fentanyl and migrants. They claimed and said that migrants were the ones reaching fentanyl in the country, but as a result, many news was generated. In fact, if you research on Google, you can find many fake news in Google, as you can see here in this image. Fortunately, this news was denied by federal agencies, Cato Institute, which is a center of investigation, and Troy Miller, who is a head of border protection, and they said ensure fentanyl and drugs arrive mainly by American citizens. In fact, I can tell you, teacher, that this was my favorite news because there are many information, and I recommend you read more about it, especially Cato Institute's investigation. The next news is migrants collapse public health. The migrants are always involved in this topic, especially health, and I recommend you read more about it because it's very sad. It's very sad. The next news is they surrendered at the border. This news also was very sad because migrants were surrendered into the USA Border Patrol, and all because of fake news. This is the last news. In the Canary Islands, there is already typhus. Again, with health topics, and I recommend you listen it because this news was broadcast. And you can find in my project when I add the link, and you can listen it. That's why. Well, as we know, there are only news. There are many more news about it if you research it. With this, we can realize migrants not only face border but also fake news. I can tell you, teacher, I decided to talk about migrants because there are people who have suffered a lot of, and I believe they need help in defense. On the other hand, I made my project as a newspaper by referring to a newspaper article. To sum up, it's important to remember that before sharing something on social networks, we must make sure that it's true because we can harm many people, such as migrants, who are seen by society like criminals, rap dogs, and terrorists, among other things, when they are only looking for a better quality of life. So to some to let's think about them, and if it is in our hands, to help them and not harm them as fake news. Well, thank you for your attention, teacher.